In November 2017, I got an email from one of our Instagram and Facebook followers. He's a sales manager at the largest Boston whaler dealer in the state of Texas. He told me about this client's boat that came off his boat lift during Hurricane Harvey, washed up the river like 2.5 miles, and came to rest in someone's backyard. Although a couple of fiberglass shops down in Texas deemed the boat unrepairable, the client asked me to come down to Texas and check the boat out and see if it could be fixed. Oh, I forgot to tell you, the boat is a brand new 2016, well, new at the time, $1.3 million 42-foot Outrage, the most expensive Boston whaler to date. So I flew down to Texas and spent the day with Mike and Mark from Sail and Ski, evaluating the damage to the boat. I was finally able to see the boat up close and personal and the actual damage this hurricane did to this Outrage. Well, after spending a couple hours literally doing the repair process almost in my head, I made arrangements to have the boat transported up to Massachusetts. The boat arrived up here, I think it was the week of Christmas. Well, forget Christmas. Try to get any boat yard to do anything in New England in December, January, and February, no less March, it's not gonna happen. So we were a little challenged as far as making arrangements to have the boat lifted off the flatbed that it was transported here. The boys from the North Shore showed up with some big pieces of equipment that made getting that boat off the flatbed no problem. Well, moving into January after the holiday break, we had one of the most mildest winters in record. So we were able to get Mike from MTA&K and his crew here to soda blast the bottom of the boat. You'll see throughout the many projects on Making It Metan, most start with his services. He and I go back a long way, and he's someone who contributes at the very beginning of Making It Metan.
Basically what we're going to do now is we've encapsulated the entire tent so we contain all of the product that we're going to blast off the bottom of the boat. So using baking soda at about 120 psi, we're going to strip the bottom of the boat, keep everything contained, and give us a bottom that's near finished so we can complete it.
The boat rocked on top of the pylons and the rocks for hours, so I really didn't have that good of an idea of the damage to the bottom. There was some gouges and scrapes on the bottom paint, but you really don't know the extent of the damage until you get that bottom paint off. Having the bottom paint removed, it gave us the opportunity really to see the damage done to the bottom of the boat.
Soda blasting helps me as an indicator because it loosens up the gel coat around every fracture. The velocity of the soda, baking soda coming out, it's able to get underneath any of the loose, the laminated gel coat. It's a first indicator of how far the damage spreads out.
Once the soda blasting was completed, we then began dismantling the boat and removing all necessary hardware and accessories in the damaged area, as well as areas we need to gain access, such as dismantling the entire interior. We needed to cut out multiple layers of liners to gain access to the inner damage to properly perform the repair. But like all projects, they all start off pretty ugly, and this 420 is no exception. But we're gonna take a break, stay tuned, because when we come back, we're gonna start cutting up this $1.3 million boat on the road to Making It Metan. Well, we left off, and I mentioned the guys were removing the hardware and accessories, not only from the repair areas, but also in potential areas where we may have to cut into to gain access to properly repair the vessel. The 420's gunnel has a lot going on. It has mechanical recessed seating, a very elaborate entertainment sound system, as well as these molded fiberglass storage inserts that were methaculated in place, which made their removal very challenging. From the exterior hardware removal, we moved right into the cabin. Although this boat did not get submerged, the interior suffered a good amount of saltwater damage. The water splashed in the ports for hours, exposing the interior hardware to the corrosiveness of salt water, literally making brand new hardware look 20 years old. After we removed all the loose items to the cabin and the items that were easily disassembled, we moved on to the removal of accessories in the galley area, such as the cabinets, the countertops, microwave, refrigerator, And also stuffed in back of all that cabinetry was that elaborate video entertainment system that ran throughout the entire cabin settee. And speaking of cabinetry and countertops, Boston Whaler never thought of any of this was ever to be removed from this boat. Don't ever underestimate the power of 3M's 5200. Now that the parts have been put away in storage, and I got the list off the Boston Whaler, we need to mask and bag off the sections of the boat to protect it during the repair process. Now at this point, we're ready to cut into the vessel. You'll see and hear me talk about in this video the starboard interior sitting area. That'll be the first area we begin to cut out. This will give us full access to the severely damaged laminate up in the forward bow section of the hull. To do this, we're going to have to cut through two liners. The first liner is the part that runs across the sitting area and ties into the fiberglass molded sink basin. After removing the fiberglass sections of the first liner, we began to cut into the inner liner. This 420 is no different than the 13s of the 1960s. Foam injection with flotation foam between the hull liner and the inner liner. No different than Mr. Fisher did, what, 60 years ago? In this case, that flotation foam saved this boat. Not only did it act as flotation foam, but what it did is it acted as a shock absorber between those pylons and the hull skid. While pounding against it wasn't able to breach the hull. With any other boat, that pylon would have went right through it. Water would have rushed in, and that boat would have sank. Not a Boston Whaler, even at 42 feet. Another similarity between the 420 and the 13, say, of the 1960s, is the use of shear ties. Shear ties are bonding points between those two skins. In this case, the hull skin and the inner liner skin. Well, those bonding points hold the two skins together while the foam is being injected in and around it. You can see that this foam acted at this point as that shock absorber. That the foam is all fractured and cracked, even in some places condensed from the major impact of these pylons. Well, we had to cut all that foam out, not only because it was fractured, but also is going to give us access to the destroyed laminate up on the hull side.
Now that we got our foam all dug out, and it gave us access to that inner laminate, well, not only the most obvious, a hole, you can also see how the damage is spread out by the change in the translucent color of the laminate.
Each of those areas are in fact fractured laminate. Even in the chime areas where the beefed up sections of the hull, even those layers were no challenge of Mother Nature because the pylon went right through it.
Well, when we come back, we're going to be back at Metan in the fiberglass repair shop, where we're going to get into the phases of this repair. If you like this segment, click right here. If you like this segment and you want to watch the whole episode, click right here.